My family flew to Italy on my birthday. I found out from my sister's post, first real family vacation in years. I didn't react. I just flagged the transaction as unauthorized and messaged the villa host directly. For hours later, I got an email. Booking canceled. Refund processing. Then came my favorite text. They kicked us out. What did you do? I found out my entire family was in Italy on my birthday. I wasn't invited. I didn't get a text, no call, no message, not even a lazy happy birthday in the group chat we only seem to use when someone needs money or wants to guilt someone into showing up for a holiday dinner. Instead, I found out through Instagram. My sister Madison posted it. Bright filter, fake candid smiles captioned, first real family vacation in years. First, I just stared. Then I opened it because some part of me hoped, maybe stupidly, that I was wrong. But there they were. My parents, both my brothers, Madison, their partners, even my niece and nephew. 9 of them, lined up at the Rome airport in the exact linen shirts and white pants I had picked out. The ones I ordered for them, the outfits they all teased me about weeks ago when I shared the lookbook for my birthday trip. I planned that trip. I picked the villa, reserved the wine tour, booked the chef, made the itinerary, sent it in a PDF. It was supposed to be a small, relaxed thing. I wanted to get everyone together. I hadn't asked for much, just 3 days. They all said no. Too busy. Couldn't get the time off. Flights too expensive. Maybe next year. But they went anyway. Same villa, same dates, same plans. And the worst part, they used my money to do it. I checked my bank account and it hit me fast. They had used the backup card I linked to our shared Amazon account last December. Back when I paid off Madison's winter tuition because my parents were waiting on a check. I never unlinked the card. They used it. Not a little. All of it. Flights, accommodations, car rental. My name was on the receipt. I didn't cry. I didn't even get angry. It felt like I had stepped out of my own body. I went to the bank app, flagged every charge as fraudulent. Then I emailed the villa directly, sent them the full story, receipts, screenshots of my original itinerary. I told them the reservation was made with stolen information. For hours later, I got the email. Booking canceled. Refund processing. An hour after that, my phone lit up with a message from Madison. They kicked us out. What did you do? I didn't answer. I just sat there in silence with a cold coffee and 2 wasted vacation days. The only 2 days I had taken off since my wife left with our son and moved to Vancouver. I hadn't seen either of them in almost a year. I told myself maybe this birthday trip would remind me that I wasn't completely alone. That family still meant something. Turns out I was wrong. I was never part of it. Not really. I remembered something from 3 weeks before the trip. My older brother Nate had said, half joking, but not really, that maybe if I paid Madison's last year of school, they'd finally consider me a real part of the family. Everyone laughed. I didn't. Stuck with me. I used to think they just didn't understand me. That if I tried harder, gave more, showed up when it mattered, they'd start treating me like I mattered. But now I see it for what it is. I was only ever useful, never important, just a wallet that talked. And the second I stopped giving, they turned cold. What they didn't know was that I'd been pulling away for months. I stopped answering every guilt-tripped call. I stopped paying for things unless I offered. I started setting boundaries. Apparently, that didn't sit well. I think they did this because they knew I'd react. They wanted me to. Maybe they wanted to prove I'd still crawl back. Or maybe they just didn't care if I did or not. But when they realized I'd cut the trip off without a word, that's when the real game started, and I was just getting started too. They stayed quiet for 2 days. No texts, no calls, just silence. Like maybe if they ignored it long enough, it would all blow over. Then Madison finally broke the pattern. She sent me a voice memo. Not even a call. Just that awkward stuttering voice she uses when she's trying to act sorry without admitting anything. She said it was a miscommunication, that they thought I was over it when I stopped responding to trip updates. That they assumed I wouldn't mind. She used that word assumed like it was supposed to make any of this okay. They didn't assume. They planned it. They booked the flights a week after I sent the final itinerary. They reserved the villa using my saved payment info from an old family Amazon order. They copied the trip I designed and left me out, hoping I wouldn't find out until it was too late. And when it blew up in their faces, they weren't sorry. They were inconvenienced. I didn't reply to Madison's voice memo. I didn't reply to Nate when he texted, "Let's just talk this out." And when my mom called me that weekend, first time in 3 months, I let it go to voicemail. They wanted access, not reconciliation. Then it got worse. For days later, I got an invite to dinner at my parents' house. No occasion, just come by. "We miss you." I showed up because I was curious, because deep down I still wanted to believe maybe they felt bad. Everyone was there, even Madison, who usually finds any excuse to leave early. It was suspicious from the start. Overly warm, overly polite, too many smiles that didn't reach their eyes. We sat down for dinner, and within 15 minutes, the trap was obvious. "So listen," my mom started. "There's something we've been meaning to talk about." She didn't even bother to ease into it. They needed help again. Madison was really struggling with her final year of school. Her financial aid had been delayed. The scholarship fell through. And if she didn't pay the balance, $18,900, she'd be dropped from her classes. Then came the line I'll never forget. "We know things have been tense lately, but helping each other is what real family does." That's when I realized none of this was about making things right. The dinner, the fake apologies, the sudden concern. It was all just a warm-up to ask for more money. And they still had the nerve to act like I owed it to them. I didn't even argue. I just said I'd think about it. Stood up and left. And that apparently was my crime, because the next morning the silence came back. Not just silence, coldness. The family chat went dead. Madison unfollowed me on Instagram. My mom didn't respond when I asked how Dad's appointment went. It was like I had been officially exiled again. They wanted me to feel guilty to cave, but I didn't, because for once I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. 3 weeks went by. Not a single message. The same people who couldn't wait to group chat about which wine we should drink in Tuscany couldn't even say good morning anymore. I had never been this thoroughly ghosted by people who shared my blood. They weren't ignoring me. They were punishing me. That much was clear. And maybe they thought I'd come crawling back. Maybe they thought if they waited long enough, I'd break. That I'd show up at Mom's house with takeout, pretend it never happened, and offer to pay the tuition anyway just to keep the peace. They were wrong. Instead, I sent a message in the family group chat. "Hey, I need the $8,900 back. Please send by the end of the week. Read, read, read." Silence. I didn't follow up. I didn't send question marks. I didn't try to explain. I waited. Took 2 days before my dad replied. He said that wasn't a loan. "You never said you expected that money back. If you did, that's on you for not being clear." That was the moment I realized how far they were willing to go just to avoid being accountable. The same man who once told me a real man never lets family go hungry was now pretending I signed Venmo notes saying for tuition payback end of summer didn't exist. Then Nate added his 2 cents. "We're all struggling right now, Charlie. You've got no idea how tight things are. You think any of us are hoarding cash? Come on, man." Yeah, I knew how tight things were. I just didn't care anymore. Then, for good measure, Madison went nuclear. She didn't message me directly. She just posted a photo of herself out at brunch, mimosas, sunglasses, the whole thing, and added a caption that said, "Some people love to flip the script when they're not getting attention." There was a time when that would have worked. When I would have driven to her place, knocked on the door, asked why she was upset, tried to patch things up. That time was over. I didn't respond. I called my lawyer instead. Took all of 10 minutes to send over the proof, payment receipts, text conversations, screenshots of her thanking me for the loan, even the PDF of the original payment breakdown I sent them. Everything was dated and documented. A week later, they were served. That's when they remembered how to reach me. Madison called furious. Said I was mentally unstable. Said I was embarrassing the family. Mom texted, "Please stop this. Dad is stressed out enough already. You're breaking our hearts, Nate." He sent the most telling message of all. "Do you even hear yourself anymore? You're suing us for what? For money you didn't even miss until we upset you. There it was. That assumption, that idea that I had so much I shouldn't care. That I was a bank they could insult and rob and I'd still give out loans like candy because that's what family does. Except this time they picked the wrong version of me. I didn't back down and it didn't go to court. Not because they beat me, but because their lawyer told them they'd lose. The paper trail was too clean. They settled. Sent the money in one transfer. No message, no apology, just cash. But they didn't know that the second I got that money back, I didn't feel relief. I felt nothing because I had already made my decision weeks ago. I sold my car, canceled my lease, listed everything in my apartment, furniture, clothes, electronics. It was all gone within 10 days. I gave my boss my notice. I didn't say where I was going. I just thanked her, shook her hand, and walked out of the office with a box of photos I didn't even want to keep. And then I bought a one-way ticket to Sweden. I'd never been, didn't know anyone there. But that was the point. No more dinners where I had to smile through insults. No more holidays where I showed up just to feel invisible. No more helping people who only saw me as a means to their end. No more pretending. Just me, a suitcase, and a country where no one knew my name. And for the first time in a long, long time I could breathe. They didn't realize I was gone until I was already gone. I had been living in Sweden for 24 days before anyone noticed. The apartment was small, furnished with basics, a view of the tram line, and a park that stayed misty in the mornings. I didn't have a car. I didn't have plans. I had a bed, a job I could do remotely, and quiet. The kind of quiet that makes your heart race the first week until it starts to feel like peace. No family, no messages, no guilt in my inbox. Then my niece Leah FaceTimed me. She said it was just to say hi. I hadn't heard from her in months. Leah is different. Still young enough to not be completely poisoned. I don't trust her fully. She's still my sister's daughter, but she's smart, wiser than the rest, and this time too curious for her own good. Halfway through our small talk, she asked almost casually, "So, is Sweden as clean as people say?" I stared at her and she tried not to grin. She knew. And now, so would they. Less than 24 hours later, they erupted. I woke up to 13 missed calls, 5 emails, and 1 voicemail from my mother who hadn't spoken to me since before the lawsuit. "You left the country and didn't tell anyone. Why? Why are you punishing us like this? No concern. No. Are you okay? Just blame. Guilt. Assumptions." Madison texted next. "Is this your idea of a power move? You're actually sick. Sweden. Really?" Then Nate, the ever-practical brother who thinks tone equals reason. "Look, I get needing space, but you ghosted your entire family. This is toxic, man. They all wanted the same thing. Control. Even from 4,000 miles away, they wanted me to explain myself, justify their discomfort, and maybe if I gave them a big enough emotional scene, they'd feel like they still had some kind of grip on me." I didn't reply. Then Leah messaged me. "They're pissed." Grandma said, and I'm not joking. His spy niece told him on the phone. I laughed out loud alone in my apartment like this had been a setup, like I had been waiting in the bushes for the right moment to leap into exile, as if I hadn't just quietly had enough and left. Leah said everyone was arguing. Madison accused her of keeping secrets. Nate apparently yelled that I was being melodramatic and making the whole family look bad. My mom cried and said I was tearing us apart. They made it sound like I burned down a house. All I did was walk away from a door they kept slamming in my face. I didn't say much to Leah, just told her thanks and to take care of herself. But the truth is, I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel proud either. I felt clean, like the air around me had stopped stinking of expectation and resentment. They assumed I'd be back, that I'd get lonely, that I'd need them. But I was alone in a new country, rebuilding my life from zero. And for the first time in years, no one was asking me for anything. No fake family dinners, no birthday guilt trips, no $8,900 tuition favors, no gaslighting apologies, no silent treatments. When I stopped being useful, just me and a silence that didn't feel like rejection. Felt like healing. And what they still didn't know, what none of them could have guessed, was that I wasn't just gone. I was finally starting over for real. And I wasn't done yet. It had been about 2 months since I left the country. By then, I'd gotten used to the rhythm of my new life, the quiet mornings, the unfamiliar language in cafes, the fact that no one here expected anything from me. I still didn't know many people in Sweden, but that was fine. Solitude doesn't scare you when you've spent years being surrounded by people who only see you when they need something. I had no plans to go back. Not for a visit, not for a holiday, not even for closure. Then it started again. It began small. My mom's name popping up on my phone for the first time in weeks. A text. We've been talking about you a lot lately. We just want to know you're okay. No guilt, no requests, no demands. It was almost human. The kind of message you'd expect from a normal mother. Except I'd learned the pattern by now. That first text is just the bait. I didn't respond. 3 days later, Madison tried a video call, declined. The next morning, Nate texted, "Look, man, we know we screwed up. Can we talk like adults for once?" For once. Like, I was the one who hadn't been an adult this whole time. I still said nothing. A week went by. Then came the big one, a carefully written email from Madison. It was long, thoughtful, crafted like a PR apology. She said she'd been doing a lot of reflecting, that she realized how much she took me for granted, that she understood now how I must have felt. She even admitted the trip to Italy was a huge mistake. She said all the right things. You're not just a wallet. We miss having you around. I know we don't deserve a second chance, but I hope we get one. I read it twice. It was smart. Too smart. I'd seen her use this kind of tone before with landlords, with professors. Strategic empathy. You write just enough vulnerability to make the other person feel guilty. But I waited. I knew what was coming. 10 days later it came. Another email from Madison. Shorter, less emotion. She said things had gotten tight again. That there was an unexpected emergency with her car. Some issue with work. She said she hated to even ask. But she was wondering if there was any way I could help. Just a short-term thing. About $8,900. She used that number like it didn't still echo in my head. Then came the follow-up text 2 days later when I didn't respond. "Hey, just wondering if you saw my message. We're all kind of stressed right now. Anything would help." And then Nate called. I didn't pick up. He left a voicemail that started with concern and ended with the line that always revealed their real thinking. "It's not just about money, Charlie. It's about whether you're really part of this family or not." That was the moment I knew for sure. None of it had changed. The apology, the outreach, the concern, they weren't reaching for me. They were reaching for what I could give. The second I gave it, everything would go back to normal. The silence, the expectations, the way I always paid and they always forgot. So, I did something they didn't expect. I forwarded every message to my lawyer and asked him to keep it on file just in case. He replied with a short note. "You don't owe them anything. No response necessary." But I sent one anyway, just one. I replied to Madison's last email with 3 words. "Do not contact." Then I blocked all their numbers, all their emails, shut down my side of the family chat, removed myself from the shared Amazon account. It took me less than 30 minutes to sever the digital ties they'd used to reach into my pockets for years. I didn't do it with anger, not even with satisfaction. I just didn't care anymore. They'd always been waiting for the moment I'd come crawling back. They never considered what it would look like if I didn't, if I kept walking, if I meant it. They thought their love was something I'd keep chasing forever, no matter how much it cost me. Turns out they were wrong. 3 months into Sweden, something shifted. It wasn't loud. It didn't come with fireworks or some sudden sense of closure. It was just a slow realization that I hadn't thought about them in days, maybe a week. They weren't in my head anymore, crawling around in the back of my mind like they used to. The weight was gone, just gone. I had built something here. Small, yes, but mine. A local guy named Jens had offered to show me around when I asked for directions one morning. Now, we grabbed coffee every Sunday. He introduced me to a few others, people who didn't ask questions like, "So, what happened to your family?" Just, "What music do you like?" And, "Want to come skating on the lake this weekend?" No one knew my past here. No one cared. I wasn't a walking ATM. I was just Charlie. I posted a photo one day, just a casual shot. Me at a quiet cafe downtown. Snow in the background. a plate of warm cardamom buns in front of me. I hadn't posted in months. I didn't think twice about it, but my niece Leah saw it. I got a message from her 2 days later. "They're losing it." I asked her what she meant. "They saw your post. Mom said he looks too happy. What's he even doing over there?" Then she added the part that really landed. "Grandma said he's trying to punish us." There it was again. That idea that my happiness was an attack. That my healing was some kind of vengeance. That my absence wasn't a boundary. It was a performance. They couldn't understand that I wasn't doing this to them. I was doing it without them. And apparently that burned more than anything I'd ever said or done. That I could exist, smile, live without their permission, without their access. That I was out here building something better and they had no part in it. They were jealous, furious, powerless, and that terrified them. Leah told me they started saying things like, "He'll come back eventually, and this phase won't last." She said Madison was mad she couldn't stalk me properly anymore. And Nate said I was mentally unstable. My mom still prays for me to come to my senses. But I think they all know deep down that this is it. That this isn't a tantrum. It's a clean break. I'm not angry. I'm not vengeful. I'm not even cold. I'm just free. I don't need to make a dramatic announcement. I don't need to block Leah or leave some message telling them to stay away. They already lost their access. Because the truth is, the final revenge wasn't cutting them off. It was building a life where they're not even part of the story anymore. And they'll keep watching through Leah, through any account I forget to block, through their own obsession with a version of me they can't manipulate anymore. They'll watch and they'll hate it and they'll talk about how I changed, and I'll keep walking forward because for once I'm not looking back. The update. I hadn't heard from any of them in months. Not since I blocked them. Not since Leah quietly told me they were still watching. The silence had finally become normal. I didn't expect it to last forever, but I'd started to believe they were finally done trying to yank the leash back. And then right after Halloween it happened. An email from a brand new address. The subject line, Christmas 2024. Let's make it special. I almost deleted it without reading. It was from my mom. She said the family had been talking that things felt empty without me. That this Christmas would be different. Madison was planning to visit Sweden for the holidays, and Nate had even joked about coming if I promised to cook. She wrote that they thought it would be perfect, us together, a fresh start, Christmas in Europe. She ended it with, "Just think about it. We miss you. It's time." For a second, I just stared at the screen. They wanted to come to me. They were ready to cross an ocean. It should have meant something, but all I felt was that slow, familiar chill. I thought about all the Christmases I paid for, the ones where I showed up with gifts and left with nothing but guilt and silence. I thought about the birthday they took from me, the tuition money they pretended was a gift, the fake apologies, the way they only remembered I existed when they wanted access to something. I remembered the lawsuit, the lies, the gaslighting, the way they tried to re-enter my life, not to make things right, but to see if I could still be used. And now they wanted Christmas. They wanted fairy lights and cinnamon rolls and second chances in a country they didn't care about until I moved here. They didn't want me. They wanted the version of me they'd benefit from. So I closed the email, sat with it for a day. Then I replied. I wrote, "I won't be joining you. Please do not contact me again." No explanation, no open door, no festive bow, just the truth. They didn't respond. Not yet. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll show up anyway. Thinking surprise visits mean love. But if they do, they won't get the reunion they imagine. Because I've already had my Christmas miracle. I've already got peace. I've already got enough. And I'm not giving it up again.